Hello, welcome to the Red Dot podcast. So we've got plenty of stuff to talk about. First of all, the Villa game. Being, can I get your thoughts on that? What do you sort of think went wrong? Because it was pretty disappointing.
Well, interesting game. Happy with the result, not so much with the performance.
Maybe
First
said
half
Villa,
was
not
okay.
Villareal.
I'm sorry, my bad. Okay, Villa. Oh, where do I begin with Villa? Okay, it was an indifferent performance. It was a game where everything was sloppy from the word go, essentially. Like the passing was sloppy, the link up play just wasn't there. We had a lot of shots on target. I mean, a lot of shots, but not that many on target. And yeah, just chances squandered in the final third. I went back and saw the highlights a few days ago, and a couple of days ago, that is. And Mason had a lot of shots, and for some reason, there were a few chances where he could have just passed it to, say, Bruno or Ronaldo, who were in a much better position to score and to take a shot at goal. Instead, he just went for himself. And I just felt that he was being a bit selfish out there today for that game. But I mean, that's kind of expected because he's like 19 years old. He's still learning, and this is part of his learning phase. He's going to realize that not every shot, not every chance is something which you can take yourself. You got to be at times a team player as well. If you see, you got to sense that if someone out there is in a better position than you got to pass the ball to him. You can't just take a shot by yourself every single time. So that's something which he probably realized that day, and I hope he's learned from it. But yeah, everything just wasn't good. Just was sloppy, really. And yeah, I don't know. It was a sketchy performance, really.
Yeah, fair enough. I think Greenwood sort of has a right to take shots because not many better finishers in the league, or probably even in the world.
That's true, but then Reese, you look at the chance where Bruno Fernandes is waiting at the top of the 18-yard box near the penalty spot for a cutback, and Mason Greenwood's taking the shot, and you're just thinking, you're right that he's a good finisher, and there's a good chance he might score that, but it's not the best chance, right? It's good, but not great, and that's what Mason Greenwood needs to realize. Is that while it's great for him to score goals, the most important thing is for the team to win matches. And he needs to be able to enable his teammates. I understand the frustration among some of our attackers that Ronaldo tends to monopolize chances since he's come in. And so there's a frustration, and whenever they get the chance, they decide to go for it. But ultimately, that doesn't work. There's only one player who can be so selfish, and that's Ronaldo. Everyone else kind of has to accept that they're kind of secondary to him, and Mason Greenwood needs to get over that. As of right now, personally, after the last couple of matches, when Rashford is back, I would go Sancho and Rashford and see how that works.
What were your thoughts on it?
I don't know. I felt really weird coming into the Villa game. Like, even prior to it, I was a bit like, they're a weird team. 1 week they can smack someone 3-0. The next week they can lose 5-0. Like they got smacked the week before by Chelsea 3-0, yet didn't deserve to lose 3-0. It was such a weird contrast, and the game seemed from the get-go. It just seemed sloppy. We didn't seem on it at all. We didn't seem like faster at everything. We didn't seem. Something wasn't right and something wasn't clicking. I don't know what it is, but the goal, it probably is a weird one because I want to say it probably deserved to be a draw based off the things, but then you can go, well, Villa had the better chances. Well, they did.
Well, did they, though? I was looking at it just now, and if we look at it from open play, so take out the late missed penalty, Manchester United had an XG of about 1.17, and Aston Villa was 1.57. So yeah, they were a little better, but a draw probably is the fair result. And then you add in the penalty, and the draw is definitely the fair result.
Yeah.
The issue here isn't so much the fact that, we missed a penalty, we didn't get the draw that we deserve. The issue is we should be expecting more than a draw against Aston Villa.
Yeah. Now, the penalty, I don't know why he's coming out and apologizing a full damn fucking paragraph apology. Like, you missed a penalty. It happens. Just go. Don't even apologize. Just go. Still on the next one. That's it. You don't need to have a full-page apology over a missed penalty. It happens in football, and I thought Watkins was offside on where he was impeding De Gea. I don't know if anybody's seen that.
I think Oli complained about that.
He was, I agree.
That,
Because was it the night before, a week before, Leicester had, or at the same time, the day later, or Leicester Brighton. Leicester had 2 goals disallowed for the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Like, I just want consistency in refereeing, man.
I mean, yes, about consistency in refereeing. It's not just the Premier League either. People say, "Oh, English refs are terrible," but then you look at it, and Kevin De Bruyne doesn't get sent off for doing the exact same thing that Aaron Wan-Bissaka did the week before in the Champions League.
Oh, by the way, it's the exact same ref.
Oh, it's the exact same ref. Wonderful. So it is consistent then. It isn't consistent. I'm sorry. That means it's even worse because it's the same ref.
Yeah,
I heard someone made that up. I don't think it actually was the same ref, to be honest.
Oh,
a lot of people sort of fell for it. Yeah.
It's funny that Darth mentioned the Chelsea-Aston Villa match. I think that kind of provides a nice segue for us as well, because the Chelsea-Aston Villa match reminds me of essentially United Villareal yesterday. The first half, Villa had so many chances and they didn't score. And it was like, I think at halftime, it was like 1.5 XG to like 0.2 or whatever. Like, Villa were dominating that match in terms of chances created. And then in the second half, Chelsea come out, score goals, and win the game. And United did the same thing against Villareal, but with Chelsea, it's, they didn't play well, but they won, so it's the performance of champions. And with United, it's, they didn't play well and they won. They got lucky.
We got to sack the manager. We got to sack him. We got to sack him.
It's nuts.
It's insane. Oh, it's just individual brilliance. In fact, I've seen a quote. I don't like him. I've seen a clip of is it Garbridge, and he was like, "Yeah, that isn't on Ollie. You shouldn't celebrate." When Tellez scored that absolute wild.
I mean, you have to remember, Mark Goldbridge is to fans what basically Severus Snape was to Voldemort's army. He is a fraud. He's a wolf in sheep's clothing. He's not actually on your side. He's a Forest fan pretending to be a United fan to make money.
Yeah, obviously, but the amount of following he's got is crazy, right? But anyway, we'll talk about this. This time for another podcast. Anyway, Villareal, we got slaughtered, and specifically that right back spot.
Okay, Reese, time for you to present the defense. Delo's entitled to a defense attorney or his public defender. Go.
I hope he puts up a better defense than Delo did yesterday.
Just to let you know, Reese, it's 3 versus 1. So
guys, let's give him a chance. Go ahead, Reese.
Okay, so I admit he didn't defend well at all, but the system didn't. It didn't help him at all either, because he didn't get help. He didn't. No, United Arenas actually said this on Twitter, by the way, so it's not just me. We got isolated too often. Greenwood was too far up the pitch. Obviously, we used a 4-3-3, so we didn't have as much midfield sort of protection. And I think we sort of played like we had Wan-Bissaka at right back, rather than someone in Dalot who isn't strong defensively. It's the same with Tellez, but they didn't really target his side. But yeah, he's not good defensively. We know that. I've never said he is. But I think if you protect him, you can sort of limit that. That's what I think.
I will say I was looking at the match logs on FBref to try to come up with an argument for why Delo's worse than we think. And I did find one stat that kind of backs up Reese's argument a little bit. And that was he had, I think, 492 progressive passing yards for a match, which is insane. That's the kind of thing Bruno Fernandes would be proud of.
That's really high.
Getting the ball that far up the pitch was absolutely incredible.
Was that against San Marino?
It was yesterday against Villareal. I was like, what the hell? I was surprised. I didn't realize he was passing the ball forward that much when I was watching the match. Yeah. Either that or there's been a typo on FBref. I don't know. But either way, I was impressed with that, and so I'll give him credit on getting the ball forward. And there were times in the first half where I thought, hey, Dalot's getting forward where Wan-Bissaka wouldn't. But then we saw the side effect of that, which is when Dalot gets forward and can't get back, Victor Lindelof is defending the striker in the middle, and there's an entire area on the right side of the pitch where Danjuma can just run straight forward. And by the way, for those who don't know, Danjuma played for Bournemouth for the last 2 seasons in a championship. He's not a high-level player.
He didn't play for. He only played for them for 1 season, wasn't it? Yeah, it was one.
Oh,
he was at Club Brugge the year before, or something.
Okay, so he's only played in the championship. Good to know. And that tells you a little bit about his level. He didn't play for Brighton. He didn't play for anyone like that. He played for Bournemouth in the championship after they were relegated, and then he moved to Villareal. He's not a top-level player. This is not Dalot getting slaughtered by Mbappe or even, Leandro Trossard or something like that. This is Dalot getting ripped a new one by a player who is basically top 5-10 championship teams, bottom 5-10 Premier League team level. And that's incredibly concerning. But I do agree that the defensive structure was also a problem. We saw in the second half that Lindelof moved a little bit more to the right, McTominay tucked a little bit deeper, and Greenwood tracked back a touch more. So essentially every player around Dalot stayed about 5 yards closer to him. And that ended up meaning that there was less space, and Dalot didn't get abused as much in the second half. But having said that, Wan-Bissaka wouldn't have that problem. So I do agree that there's a tactical issue there, and plenty of tactical issues with our defending. We can get into that another time. But the bigger issue is when given that one-on-one the chance to give that individual brilliance, right? Diogo Dalot consistently shows he doesn't have individual brilliance. He has individual failures. And that's incredibly concerning. And United need to look to get in Kieran Trippier in January if we possibly can. And send Diogo Dalot to the sun for all I care.
I do think we'll see a performance like that from him again, because I think
you're right. He's not getting picked.
To be fair, I said, can we fly Laird from Swansea to Manchester and make it for half-time so we can swab him out?
I don't think it would have been that much different. I mean, Laird is
Laird better
level player at the moment.
I will say the youth expert among us, United Dan MUFC, he's not on the pod today, but he did tell me in a chat that he thinks Laird would 100% have done better yesterday than Diogo Dalot. So
he probably would have kept up.
He's seen more of him than we have.
I've watched a little bit. I've been on a Laird train for a little while. Well, everybody's been on a Laird train for a little while. If you haven't seen him, go watch Laird, please. But I think he takes over Wan-Bissaka soon, in like 2 years.
Yeah, 2-3 years, something like that. I can see, then it becomes a 1-2 punch because Laird's specialty is going forward. He's played as a wing back before. So, I could see him replacing Dalot, and then you have Laird as the attacking option against low blocks, and Wan-Bissaka against the likes of Mbappe and Sterling and whatnot.
And then as Wan-Bissaka gets older, the roles reversed, and like Wan-Bissaka is now the older head, the Tellez role per se, right? And then, yeah. What Tellez does, he's not starting every game, but he's there as backup, and But yeah, I think the subs for Oli were great last night. I think Matic coming in as a CDM helped us control it better, helped us keep control of the game, allowed our attacker players to flourish more and stuff like that.
For those who follow me on Twitter at United Resurgent, you'll know that in my pre-match lineup, I actually had Matic and Cavani starting. And so when he subbed them on, I was very happy to see that they were given a chance, and I thought they made a huge difference. The issue is fundamentally, and this is acceptable with Ronaldo because he's Ronaldo, but having said that, he does absolutely zero defensive work, no pressing. He literally just stands there up front. And the problem with that is when we're chasing the game and you're playing a side like Villareal who have good passers on the ball, especially at the back. Like Pau Torres was dribbling through our midfield at times. There was one time I remember where he basically was like passing through and going through triangles and getting up to shoot. Like he is a very talented player on the ball. And and Manu Trigueros and a couple of other guys like that, when you have people like that in the team.
Raul Albiol was a very experienced player. He was at Real Madrid. He's been around. He's know it all. Like
when you've got guys like that who, like, we're not talking about low level players who are going to play a bad pass regularly. If you Just let them. They're not going to lose possession on their own. You have to make them lose possession. And for that, Edinson Cavani adds another dimension as compared to Cristiano Ronaldo. And, I thought there's a huge benefit in bringing him on. And you saw that one ball that he chased down where everyone else thought it was going out of play. And Cavani just sprinted across the pitch to go and save it. And he created a chance off of it. And that's the kind of thing you get with Edinson Cavani, even though he's around the same age as Ronaldo. His attitude towards playing is completely different. Ronaldo will play every game, but he'll play every game at about 80%. Cavani will play about 50% of the games, but when he plays at 110%. And, just looking at that, I think there's a huge benefit to having Cavani and Ronaldo in a lot of matches and situations. And I hope we see it more often going forward. And I think Matic gives us added control over McTominay, who I don't think has had a good start to the season. Same for Fred. For me, honestly, if I was looking at our pivot, I think Matic and Van de Beek or Matic and Pogba is probably our best pivot right now.
The issue is I don't think Matic can do it every week. Like, I know it's like, he's 35, but it's harder being a CDM. Kind of. I want to go, it's harder being a CDM and run around a lot, but then you look at Cavani and it's like, well, actually, but yeah.
Well, every player is different, right? Juan Mata and Ronaldo can't run around the way that Cavani can. Matic can't either. I understand that age plays a role here, right? There's certain players like Cavani, like Ashley Young, who can play at a certain age the way others can't. But the issue is you look at the alternatives, right? If you could have, if Matic can't play 90 minutes, let's say Matic can play 60 minutes. If you can play Matic for 60 minutes, then sub on McTominay instead of doing it the opposite way around, I think we'd start games better than we do right now because Matic offers both defensive solidity and he offers ball progression in a way that McTominay doesn't. One of the biggest things that I note in our defensive structure is when Matic is playing, you see the center back split wide and then Matic drops between them. It's very rare that McTominay drops between the center backs. He's usually in front of them. And that kind of affects our build-up structure in a negative way.
But again, hey, Vin, would you like to talk?
Just saying I'm still alive, yeah?
Sorry about that, Vin.
Nah, that's all right. I'm just trying to look up something. But anyways, can I just say that for those who've been raving about 4-3-3 on Twitter, can shut up right now? Because just for once, just maybe, Ollie knows which formation is best for our team. But everyone's raving about, let's play 4-3-3 with McTominay, Bruno, and Pogba. But he did that yesterday, and look what happened. So don't tell me, because look, if McTominay is playing a number 6, his job, like Resurgent just said, is just drop deep when the centre back split up, right? So it forms essentially a back three because you have the full backs being pushed up higher the line. That's exactly what Darlow was doing. But the issue with Darlow is he's defensively trash. He's useless. I'm sorry, Reese, but that's true. He's useless defensively, and we've seen it a number of times. Like who's that guy from Bournemouth? Who's playing for Villareal? Danjuma, he was having a ball out there behind him. Like in that area, that space was entirely his, and Darlow was getting beat every single time. If you look at the first half, every save David De Gea had to make, it was all coming from our right side. And I think that was Unai Emery's plan in going into the first half of the game. Like, attack Diego Darlow. He's going to go forward. He's good on the ball, but he's defensively useless. So attack him. Every single opportunity that Villareal had was through that right side. Telles, and the reason, and I'm not saying Telles was better, like Telles wasn't ideal either, but we couldn't really see that because Villareal weren't attacking our left side at all. It was only the right side only. Not even through the middle, through our right side, because through the middle, they knew that Varane Lindelof would just be able to handle it, but they knew that Darlow wouldn't be able to handle it, and it was an absolute shocker there. And again, with McTominay as the holding midfielder, the problem is he wasn't sitting deep. Like far too often, you would see him itching to go forward because that's the kind of player he is. He likes to go forward. He likes to get into attacking spaces. And that's not what you do when you're playing as the holding midfielder. You're supposed to sit deep. You're supposed to sit in front of the defense and partner up with your center backs. He wasn't doing that. And again, like as much as I remember saying this last season that I wanted McTominay to be like Matic's successor and be like the next holding midfielder. I don't know. Again, like I know it's just one performance, but he's way far from it. Like Certain said, Matic is somehow still our best defensive-minded midfielder, but the problem is you can't play him every week. You can't play him a game every 3 days because, again, even if you're playing for 60 minutes, after a certain point, after a certain run of games, he's going to drop in sharpness. He's going to drop in his concentration and in his accuracy of passes and play. And we've seen that happen last season as well. So you got to use him really, really well. So play him, say, maybe a game every week. He needs a game every week. He can't play a game every 3 days, unfortunately, even if it's for just 45, 50 minutes. So, which is why, and I feel, again, this is an unpopular opinion, but if Fred was playing yesterday, I think we would have had a bit more control in midfield than what we had. Right? I mean, it just shows, I know Fred isn't the most astute player that we have, right? But what he brings to that midfield is you expect a presence over there in that midfield. He's pressing, he's winning balls. He may not make the most beautiful passes going forward, and he does give the ball away, but he presses and he does win you that ball in that midfield. And he has a presence in midfield, which Villareal would then be aware of. We didn't have that in the first half at all. It's only in the second half when Oli brought Matic on and then changed to a 4-2-3-1 that all of a sudden we had much better composure in that midfield. I just felt that if Fred was there in that first half, things would have been a lot less chaotic, really. And just, again, goes to show he may not be a perfect player. He may not be an out-and-out starter, but he's definitely a squad player to have.
There's 2 or 3 things that stand out to me with what you just said. The first one is with the situation with Matic is, we keep saying that United always go 1-0 down and then get better, and we tend to score later, especially in second halves. And one of the things that stands out to me with that is Matic tends to come on in the second half. I haven't looked at it. Maybe like what I'm saying is complete BS. I don't know, but it feels to me like we have more control in matches when Matic is playing. And if Matic can play 45, 50 minutes, then it's better for us to play Matic in the first half, go 1-2-0 up, and then sub him off for McTominay and Fred to run around and try to prevent us from conceding, than it is to do it the other way where they're running around, we concede a goal, and now we need more goals, and so we put Matic on. It feels like we might start better if Matic started. The other thing, sorry, 1 second, Darth. The other thing I wanted to touch on was the 4-3-3 that Vin talked about. The problem is with Bruno Fernandes and Paul Pogba, we don't play a 4-3-3 even when we play a 4-3-3. We play a 4-1-5. And the problem with that is you end up with, because Bruno Fernandes is number 10, and Paul Pogba basically does marginally more defending than Diogo Dalot. There's maybe a 20-30% difference there, not a lot. So you end up in this position, and you can notice it, especially in the first half yesterday, where I don't know if you guys remember when Louis van Gaal was here, and late in games we'd need a goal, so he'd sub on Marwan Fellaini into the midfield, and then Fellaini would run forward and just play off the striker, essentially. And so we'd end up with one man less in midfield, and Fellaini was just kind of hanging around the 18-yard box. That's essentially what Pogba was doing, obviously not to go and head the ball and be an aerial nuisance, but he was basically trying to receive the ball up at Villarreal's box, and the problem with that is you can't just leave Scott McTominay, Diogo Dalot, and Alex Telles and ask them to get 5 players the ball. It's just not going to happen, especially when you have players who are as hardworking and talented as that Villarreal midfield and as well tactically drilled as an Unai Emery team is. And so I think the issue is 4-3-3 might be a good formation, but it's not a good formation with both Paul Pogba and Bruno Fernandes. You can arguably play it with one of them and then maybe a slightly more defensive. So if you want to play maybe McTominay, Fred, and Pogba as a 3, or you want to play Matic, Pogba, and Fred, or whatever, like any combination like that, maybe Van de Beek, Bruno, and Pogba, or sorry, Van de Beek, Bruno, and Matic, or something. Like, you might be able to make that work, but the problem with Bruno and Pogba is they both want to essentially play that number 10 role, and so you end up in a 4-1-5, and the midfield gets overrun, and then you get one-on-one chances, and that's what happened, and that's why we should have conceded 2 or 3 goals in the first half.
Now, back to the.
I mean, go ahead.
Matic thing. Back to Matic thing. What's the thing that Matic has that none of our midfielders really have is Matic is a defensive midfielder, right? He knows where he has to be as a defensive midfielder. Knows how to.
He's got good positional awareness. That's the point.
Yeah, that's the point. He knows what he has to do. Now, the issue with Fred and Scott is they don't have that, so none of them can play a 6.
I mean, not just the fact that they don't have awareness. They do. They just like to be further up the pitch. That's the thing with them. Because
what they remind me of is like a Blaise Matuidi or somebody like that in one of the better like Juventus sides,
sort of.
PSG.
Yeah.
Essentially, they like to like run up and down the pitch and kind of they're all action in a sense, especially Fred, less so McTominay, but both of them in a sense, they don't really sit in the formation and dictate play or pass the ball forwards and like work in the structure. They essentially are, and I hate saying it, they're kind of like headless chickens. And the problem with that is we end up losing our shape. And there's a lot of goals that you can see we've conceded this season where basically, especially some of the long range shots, like I think it was the Luke Ayling goal in the Leeds match. And also, I think it was similar for the goal that Newcastle scored against us, where you essentially have the defensive midfielders running forward, vacate the space, and now you've got 2 or 3 Newcastle or Leeds or whoever attackers on our defenders. And either the guy who has the ball runs forward, takes a long shot and scores because he has acres of space to shoot from, like Ayling did, or alternately, he ends up just passing the ball right behind our defender. Somebody runs onto it and scores, like happened with Newcastle. And so it's just one of these situations where their lack of positional awareness directly leads to us conceding goals.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you were talking about Matic having sort of more you forgot what I was going to say.
Awareness, positional awareness.
Yeah.
He's also a better progressive passer.
Yeah, so but he wasn't. We didn't have more control in the games where he started early on. Like, for example, the Southampton game. You know, we got destroyed in that game. Did he start against Wolves? Was it Matic and Fred? We got destroyed in that game as well. So yeah.
Yeah, I think Fred and Matic started against Southampton. That wasn't a good game. Yeah, I do agree. But
again, you don't play Matic against teams that press high.
Press, exactly. Yeah.
And that's what he's doing. He's playing them against the teams.
Liverpool, Chelsea. Yeah. You don't play Matic against them sides. Not a chance. That's why
I'll go and switch the light on.
That's why McFred play them games, because they cover each other's weaknesses of each other, and they're really perfectly balanced. It's weird.
Exactly. Like if you look at it, there's been 2 games that Matic has started. There was the Southampton game and the Newcastle game. And I will note with the Southampton game, we should have won that. And if you look at the XG, we didn't concede much XG. We scored a lot of it. So essentially, I feel like if that game is played 10 times, we win it 9 out of 10. So I think those are 2 of our better performances that Matic has started this season. The other one is the loss to West Ham. Admittedly, the rest of the team was all reserve, so it's not really his fault. Although I actually thought Matic and Van de Beek, the pivot, was the best part of that match for us.
I don't know.
Were pretty good.
Jesse was really good that match, actually. Jesse was really good. Should have had a penalty. 100%. That's a penalty.
Oh, definitely. When Mark Noble pulls on his shirt, for sure. You know, we're and then he's like, "Oh, he dived." Anyways, that's a little off track. The point is, Matic is offering so much to this side. If he can only play 50, 60 minutes, then all he needs to let him play 50, 60 minutes and just sub him off at that point, rather than giving him 15 at the end. Because McTominay and Fred, like Darth was saying, are good against sides that press, like your Liverpool, Man City. Play McFred, it's fine. But against these sides that sit deeper, Matic should be arguably the number 1 name on the team sheet.
But again, Southampton pressed really high. They had Hasselhuten's really good at setting pressing traps. So Matic wouldn't start against Southampton, right? It's a weird one. Like you start against Newcastle because they sit further back than
teams like Newcastle, Villareal. They're gonna like West Ham. Even I'd argue, they like to enjoy. They rather prefer like sitting deep, have 2 blocks of 4. And just like defend, and then hit on the counter when they get the ball. So against those teams, Matic works because he makes those line-breaking passes. That's the thing we don't have.
Look at this weekend. We're playing a Rafa Benitez team. They're going to sit deep. This is a prime opportunity to play in the Man United. Benitez teams don't press.
Well, then try to 4-3-3 again against Everton
with Matic.
With Matic, Bruno, and Pogba. Let's see how that holds up. And with Wan-Bissaka.
That'll be like a 3-1-6.
Perhaps controversial, but I think there is arguably a case to drop Paul Pogba to the bench for this one.
Yeah, but we'll get
on the left wing. I don't think there's a case for him to start in the midfield.
Yeah. All right, just a quick question. I want to go on a different tangent here. We talk about playing Matic from the beginning, then bringing on Scott, and then just doing the other way around. Do you think that is because of something of us not having a quality head coach? I just want to get on this because, like, I didn't like just realizing the kind of teams we play and the kind of personnel to pick against those teams. Do you think it's because of like we talk about, like we said, right? Playing Matic on for like 45, 50 minutes and then getting Scott on when we go 2 goals up and address the issue of having to come back from a goal down every single time. Do you think that's got to do with us not having a really good number 2 like a Rene or a Queiroz?
So from what I know, Mike Phelan hasn't been doing assistant manager much anymore. He's been doing a lot of the admin work, so not like sending emails and stuff like that. He's doing like a lot of
behind the scenes stuff and just bringing changes and everything.
Yeah, like behind the scenes and
yeah.
It's Carrick and McKenna that take training, and Ollie does manager stuff. Like everybody's not really doing much. No. Manager stuff is a lot.
Yeah, for sure.
So I think he needs a number 2, like someone that's already done it, experienced head. Rennie Mullenstein could come in if he wants to do it. It's there. I don't know who else.
Because the way I see it, if we have a proper number 2, someone like a Rene, who's like a very experienced coach, who's done it at the highest level for United, he would be able to spot those things and say, okay, you know what? You got to start this person or these players for this game because the kind of opposition we play, he would be more suited to. I just feel that right now in our coaching setup, we don't have that sort of tactical or technical acumen. Someone who's experienced, who can also guide the likes of Carrick, McKenna, who are all talented, experienced coaches, like talented coaches, but just not experienced. And they need like a sort of a senior head to sort of just help them and just fine tune the training. That's all I'm saying.
One of the things that stands out to me, and it's a thread that at PK Westall put on Twitter today. He basically argued that at United, Ollie is more of a manager than a coach, and a lot of people have been successful doing that. Sir Alex being a prominent example. Sir Alex almost never did training on his own. Especially in the later years, but even early on, he wasn't too big on the coaching. He would leave that to his staff, and that's fine. But then you look at people like that, and like just take Sir Alex, for example. United were most successful when he had Carlos Queiroz next to him, giving him tactical advice and kind of providing that edge. And if you look at us with Mike Phelan as his number 2 in the last 2, 3, 4 years, we weren't quite as good, and there were tactical deficiencies, especially in the Champions League, that kept getting exposed. That was when we dropped to the Europa League and then lost to the Atletico Bilbao, or it was not Bilbao. Athletic Club under Marcelo Bielsa. We lost in, I think, the round of 16, round of 32, something like that in the Europa League. So that's the era that happened with Mike Phelan as the number 2. I'm not saying you have to sack Mike Phelan, but there's definitely room for someone in there to come in and help with the game planning. I look at it, and I think the NFL provides a good comparison. In the NFL, you have a head coach who is essentially the manager, and his job is to manage in-game substitutions, overseeing the morale, motivating the team, things like that. And then you have an offensive and defensive coordinator whose job is essentially to develop the game plan and coach that. And while we don't have those formally, the closest thing to that we have is the coaching role performed by McKenna and Carrick. And that's not been good enough, and it hasn't been good enough for some time now. And I think that they're young people, they're young coaches, and they might develop into something great. So I'm not saying you have to sack them, but Ollie would really benefit, and I think it could prolong his tenure at the club if he was to bring in somebody as an experienced head. It doesn't have to be someone popular. Like, we all love Rennie Mullenstein, we want him back. If there's personal issues there, and Ollie doesn't want to bring in Rennie Mullenstein, there's other people out there. You could even get in somebody who would be highly unpopular, who I think would be helpful, like Steve McLaren left Derby this week as technical director. He's served in every role in football. He's been a technical director, a manager, a coach. He's been the England manager. He's won the Eredivisie, so he's had trophy-winning experience.
He's assistant manager under Fergie.
He's assistant manager under Sir Alex. He could come in and potentially add some input. Even if he's not a great coach, he could at least be a tactical sounding board for Ollie in a way that Mike Phelan simply isn't. And so I think there's definitely room to add to this coaching staff. The question, though, is Ollie too loyal to the people who he's already brought in? We've seen that the only assistant coach that Ollie is effectively sidelined and removed is Emiliano Martinez, who was held over from the Mourinho era. And then Emiliano Alvarez. And then he was replaced by Richard Hardis a couple of months into Ollie's tenure. And so that was fine. But the coaches that Ollie selected and brought in and kept on, he hasn't really been willing to sideline them. And he's just added to that with Eric Ramsey, but he hasn't removed anybody. And now might be the time to do that. And honestly, I think that Eric Ramsey's fantastic. It's a good example of how much impact a coach and not a manager change can have. And I think at this point, the problem is Ollie needs to kind of become ruthless and change the coaches under him before the people above him decide they want to change him.
They want to change
him. The performances haven't been good enough. And as the executive, if the problem is with your team, you have to fire your team before they fire you so someone else can fire your team.
Exactly.
The issue is I checked where Carlos Queiroz is.
He's a manager right now of one of the national teams.
Yeah,
he was a manager of Iran last session.
No, he moved on from there.
Yeah, he went to Colombia and now he's manager of Egypt.
I mean, there are plenty of alternatives.
You could bring in anybody who's an experienced head. Mark Hughes, I mean, he's not a good manager, but you could at least he's somebody who Ollie could say, hey, this is what I'm thinking. And he could say, hey, maybe you might want to think about this instead.
Yeah.
We don't even need somebody who's very good. We just need somebody who's actually going to push back a little bit and make Ollie rethink things.
Yeah. I mean, the way I see things is Mick Phelan was great to steady the ship and just stabilize the mood around the club and everything, help rebuild the squad, bringing the basic changes behind the scenes and all of that. So from that perspective, Mick Phelan is a good addition to have, no doubt. So, but the rebuilding part is done, in my opinion, like barring one or two positions, maybe. Most of the rebuilding part is done. We've got a very good squad. Now, when you want to challenge for titles, when you want to challenge for trophies, you need to have a very experienced and elite coaching staff. Being a man manager is fine. Sir Alex Ferguson was that for pretty much his entire United tenure. But what he had was a very good, strong coaching base, which is very experienced and very talented, who were able to provide him with the acumen necessary. Mick Phelan just doesn't do that. So I'm not saying sack him. And like I said, under Paulie's thread, don't sack Mick Phelan. If anything, just push him onto the administrative side. Let him do his work behind the scenes and get someone a proper number 2 win. That's my ultimate point, because that will not only help the team, but also help Ollie keep his job.
Okay, so we were about to move on from the assistant manager / coach conversation, but there's somebody out there who has been a manager, then been an assistant coach, is close with the current coaching staff, knows the United culture. And
Gary Neville?
No, not Gary Neville. I was thinking of, and I thought maybe he might be somebody that we could look to bring in. And it's a little bit of a nuclear option, but I wanted to see what the 4 of you think, or the 3 of you and me, think about potentially adding Roy Keane as Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's number 2. Have Mr. Nice and Mr. Not So Nice as the 1-2 punch. What do you guys think? We'll start with Darth.
Bad cop. Good cop, bad cop.
Good cop, bad cop. We'll start with Darth.
Absolutely not. Ollie has built like a family thing here. And
but every family has a drunk uncle.
That's what you see him once every family holiday or something.
That's fair, I guess.
I've seen him every day. How would you feel?
Fine, the stepfather with a belt. Are you happy?
That makes it even worse.
Ollie's the mom. We divorce Mike Phelan, who's the dad, the nice, biological father, and then we bring in the stepfather with the belt to sort things out.
The abusive stepfather. Come here, you. Pogba would have a couple of broken legs before he even kicked the ball.
Yeah, imagine Pogba coming with his new trim and Roy Keane just looking at it in training going, what the fuck on earth is that?
Honestly, the mop on his head right now, I'm totally okay with the coaching staff walking into his house and shaving his head. This is absurd now.
I what's with the blue hair so much? I get his love of France, but no.
Can he at least do red, white, and blue so we have some red and white in there for United?
I reckon he's going to PSG.
But again, they also have some red. Can we just add some red or white in there so that we at least it's not all blue?
Some semblance.
Has Pogba ever had red hair? I'm a Google.
Yes.
He's had in the past. Yeah.
There's no color of hair that Paul Pogba hasn't had. He's essentially the only
last time
hair dye company stay in business.
I mean, the last time he sort of had that blue and white dye was for the derby game
And
where we came back from 2-0 down. Yeah.
No.
But anyways, coming back to Roy Keane. Right.
No.
Okay.
All right, Vin, go ahead.
Okay, I'm going to play devil's advocate here and try to imagine what it would be like having him. Obviously, if any of you have listened to his podcast with Gary Neville recently on The Overlap, he's spoken about how he wants to get back to management and coaching. He's been eager to do that for a while now. Sure, he enjoys the punditry, but he's said that he's always wanted to get back into the management role or the coaching role. And look, is he tactically astute? No. I would argue there are better technical specialized coaches out there. But given the sort of setup that Ollie has been creating so far, he's brought in people who sort of know the club inside out, who know what it takes to sort of compete and win trophies and be at the highest level. Roy Keane definitely fits that bill. Sure, he's hot-headed. Sure, he is aggressive and has a very short temper at times. But the good thing is, at least he's not going to appear in press conferences. So you can just stop worrying about him calling players out in public, because that's not going to happen. Because Ollie's the one who's going to be doing press conferences, and he's the one who's going to be facing the media. Roy Keane can just be the firecracker inside. Like, he can just handle that shit internally and not let that come out like in the public or in front of cameras as a journalist. So if anyone's worried about like the public image aspect of it, that isn't an issue. The real issue is what does he add to stuff? What does he add to the squad?
So what he does is idea. Let me give you two things on that. The first one is, as you say, Roy Keane is a little hot-headed, and that's been a reason why I haven't wanted him around the club in the past.
Yep.
But you look at it now, and you think, what is one of the common critiques of the current coaching staff? They're all too nice. They're all too friendly with the players. Yep. All he's known as the baby-faced assassin, right? But he's not somebody who we hear he reads the riot act in the dressing room. We've never seen it. People are a little concerned about that. Roy Keane on the training ground, we know for a fact there's going to be at least 4 stories in the Daily Mail every season that Roy Keane had a bust up with Paul Pogba, that Roy Keane told Harry Maguire that he was a tree. There's going to be insane moments like that, which are frustrating and concerning as a United fan. But also, you could argue we've gone too far away from in the other direction from what we were under Mourinho, which was a complete circus. Now it's almost too nice, too steady. There needs to be a little bit of a firecracker in there, as you say.
Yeah.
It gives you that. And the other thing is, he spent 5 years as a manager in mostly the Premier. I think half in the Premier League, half in the Championship.
He managed Sunderland. He managed
and Ipswich
Ireland.
Town. No, he didn't manage Ireland. He managed Ipswich Town. He was the assistant manager for Ireland,
assistant manager,
Villa,
right.
And he was an assistant manager with Nottingham Forest most recently.
Yep.
I am in disbelief. Nobody has heard the term ass man.
We're going to talk about that on
We're not going to get into
the Red Devil's Den After Dark podcast, hosted by Darth Necris and sponsored by very many adult video websites. But for this for this particular podcast, we're going to focus on United. And when it comes to Roy Keane, the other things, like I said, 5 years as a manager, 6 years as an assistant manager, 2 years in the press, so he also knows how that works. And with all of those various things added, he's played United captain, United player, with all those various roles added in, I think he brings a similar know-how to feel in a sense, except he's been a manager for a more prolonged period of time. He offers you a different tactical look in, at least, and a different temperament. So, like I said earlier, like I mentioned Steve McLaren and Mark Hughes, neither of these guys is a tactical genius either. Like, I'm not suggesting any of them are the next Quirage. Arguably, even Rennie Muhlenstein's more of a coach than a tactician. But the beauty of somebody, just a new face coming in, a new voice, somebody, and the chemistry would be immediately there. We know Ollie and Roy Keane are still close. It wouldn't exactly disturb the coaching staff chemistry. You bring in somebody, it doesn't have to be Keane, but Keane is a prominent example of someone who would take it in a heartbeat. And immediately you get a new voice, new perspective, new face, even if it doesn't add anything. Sometimes just having a different version of the same thing can lead to a bounce.
Roy Keane firing everybody up for the derby.
Can you imagine what happens at halftime yesterday with Villarreal? If they walk into the dressing room having given up that many chances, Diogo Dalot's not coming out for the second half because it's not going to have a skeleton left. And the thing is,
walked in a van somewhere on his way
exactly
to field somewhere.
So the way that I look at it is, even if it's not necessarily a tactical change, like Roy Keane's not saying, "Hey, Ollie, put on Eric Bailly and move Lindelof to right back." By breaking every bone in Diogo Dalot's body, Roy Keane is in fact actually contributing tactically to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's United project.
No, I mean, he'll definitely be more tactically sound and astute than McPherson, in my opinion.
Exactly.
I mean,
you might be going from a 3 to a 4 or a 5, but it's still an upgrade.
Yeah, having been a manager, an assistant manager, and a coach as well, he definitely knows, like, he has a good sense of awareness.
What's your views on this?
Reece,
we can't get Roy Keane. His personality is way too different to what we want, because the players wouldn't react well to it.
Arguably, we need a different personality though, because the current one, everything's a little too nice.
But, to be fair, I do know Ryan Giggs, when he got shouted at, produced better, but players sometimes need an arm around him. Sure is the
Ollie provides the arm around.
Ollie is the arm. So that's what I'm saying.
Also, is another arm. With Roy Keane, you have somebody, because we have different players, right? Paul Pogba needs an arm around him. Bruno Fernandes needs a kick up the ass. That's the difference between them.
David De Gea. Oh, can you imagine Roy Keane and David De Gea having bus stops? Oh, I don't know if you remember, Roy Keane has called out David De Gea multiple times in the past.
Yeah, he has. He said he can't trust the keeper. I've watched it recently. He said he can't trust the keeper, and he put him in a taxi home. He wouldn't even let him on a bus.
Exactly.
But the thing is, you can say, "Oh, we need someone who's not nice," but it doesn't have to be Roy Keane, because and he's probably
it's a wild suggestion, please. You never know.
When he's probably too not nice.
I suggested Paddy Evra because he's off his nut.
Oh, please.
Patrice Evra is an insane person. I'm sorry, he should never be involved in the coaching staff at United. There's a couple of people who I would just blacklist permanently. Patrice Evra for his mental stability, Ryan Giggs because we've seen that he's arguably a criminal, court case still pending, so allegedly, but his personality in terms of the fact that he cheated on his wife with his sister-in-law, and several other incidents in his past imply that maybe Ryan Giggs should not be involved with the club in the future. So I would suggest that out of all the ex-players out there, out of all the people associated with United, the two most prominent names that come up in my mind are Steve McLaren and Roy Keane. And Roy Keane's personality, while more toxic, is arguably something that we could use, at least in the short term. It might end in tears, but, for 6-8 months, he might give us the kick that we need.
Yeah. Nah, I don't see Rio as coach.
He's not interested. He's not a coach.
I see Rio as a media guy. Like he's like a media man,
Yeah.
He does his content. He does his punditry. He fits that. Even Gary Neville, for that matter.
Yeah, I'm sure Vidic is doing some coaching badges. I think Vidic is doing some right now. So arguably, if Vidic is available, it will be untested, but you could try it.
Jaap Stam has lost his job recently.
But Jaap Stam has lost every job that he's been in. With Roy Keane, you can at least say, "Oh, he was a good Sunderland manager." With Jaap Stam, there's no positive in his coaching career at all.
What do you mean?
He was the manager of Reading. He was the manager of FC Cincinnati. I think they fired him after having 1 win in 17 matches or something in MLS. He was basically like Frank de Boer out here.
I was just about to say that.
Hold on. No, in his first season, he enjoyed this, successful first season with Reading. He got into the championship playoffs.
Yes, he did. And then what happened?
And then it fell off.
They didn't win the playoffs. They ended up near the relegation zone the following season. Jaap Stam lost his job. Yeah.
It is what it is.
I think just I probably need to move on, but
so Roy Keane, yes, definitely Roy Keane.
Absolutely not.
I don't mind it. I seriously don't mind it.
I didn't agree to this.
No?
All right, we're gonna call it a split panel. Then Reece, go ahead with the next topic.
All right, rock paper scissors, yeah.
Yeah.
You know that Roy Keane's always picking scissors, right? Straight to the heart, scissors.
I mean, we always. The one thing with Roy Keane that you're going to get guaranteed is that, we always talk about Is Ollie bringing out the hairdryer? Is he doing the riot act at halftime? With Roy Keane in there, even if you don't know what's happening, you can expect a riot act after every game, like even at halftime. Every halftime.
We could win 2-0 and Roy Keane's going to have the hairdryer out.
5-0 up at halftime and Roy Keane's got the hairdryer out.
What we need essentially, in a way, what would be nice is if we could have like, Two-Face from Batman, if we could kind of have Roy Keane and Ollie. And when we're winning or playing well, Ollie comes into the dressing room at halftime. And when we're struggling, Roy Keane shows up.
Yeah.
Like a Dr. Jekyll and Hyde kind of situation.
It's not a bad combination.
In essence, you want Roy Keane locked in a building, right? And when we play bad, send the players in there. But
set him free.
Just pull him in the Sky Sports studio, send Ollie up there, bring Roy Keane down. He reads the riot act, then we win the game, and then Ollie comes down, congratulates the players, Roy Keane goes back up.
He's just not hired by us. He's just it's like a hitman.
Right.
Okay.
So that's exciting.
That's enough madness for this podcast.
Roy Keane's going to hunt down Reese as soon as he becomes assistant manager.
As soon as Roy Keane finds out Reese rates Tallow. Oh, hold on.
There's nowhere in Wales, the UK, you're not safe, Reese. We're going to have to put you in witness protection.
So in terms of the Everton game, we're going to preview that. So are you guys confident after the Villareal game? Do you think we can go on win games now?
I am. Slightly. I just felt that last night, the way we got the win, the emotions, the emotions, the buzz and everything, I feel, and this is just a very raw gut feeling, that might be the start of a good run of games for us, really. Just the way we sort of came back from going 1-0 down, we came back and we won the game. And just the way the spirit and the emotions and everything, I felt that could just propel us for a good run of games, especially with the kind of fixtures coming up. They're all pretty difficult fixtures, if I'm being honest. And it's a testing month for Ollie and the team. And, if we can power through the whole of October and the first week of November and just come out with a very good run of form, you never know. Anything can happen.
I was looking at the way that United have started seasons over the last 10 years. And, 9 points in 2019-20, 10 points in 2020-21 are two of the worst starts in the last 10 years to a season. And yet, if you look at the points total and the league finishes, they're actually some of our best seasons in the past 10 years. So there's this clear, slow starting situation with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer teams in the Premier League when he's had a full season in charge. And I think that we could see, maybe we draw this one. I'm not super confident, but I think over time we'll see the team pick up form and the performances will improve. Yeah. The concern is the fixture list also gets tougher. So I'm not necessarily confident, but I do think that, sometimes the last minute winner, things like that can be the boost you need to suddenly everything clicks.
I still think we missed Rashford massively on that left.
Oh, for sure. Yesterday was a good indication of it.
Pogba on the left it works to an extent. He's not a man. He's like a wide target man. If that makes sense. Because he's tall. He has really good ball control.
We like to swing it at him and have him bring the ball down on switches of play. But the issue is he's not actually very good at heading the ball. So he gets the ball down and then he looks to distribute it, but he's slow at doing that. So he either misses the initial overlap and passes it inside, or he'll actually get the overlap, and at this point the defense is reset. So he needs to be a little quicker on that ball.
Wide target man, as I said. But Everton, they're going to be horrible to play against. They'll go with Andros Townsend, Richarlison, Calvert-Lewin, and
Richarlison and Calvert-Lewin are not fit, I don't believe.
Ollie's Choo-Choo is unmatched.
I think Calvert-Lewin
Leon Bailey wasn't fit and Villa beat us, so you never know.
I think Calvert-Lewin just returned to individual training, so...
Yeah, but he's not going to play on Saturday. I don't think he's...
With individual training, he's not going to play more than 30 minutes.
Probably not, no.
Yeah.
I mean...
It's going to be Solomon Rondon up front, which is going to be... Solomon Rondon probably is as old as Ollie at this point.
Rondon against Lindelof. Oh.
No.
It'll be fine. Varane will take care of Rondon, and then Lindelof will be defending somebody like Damari Gray.
Yeah, the thing is... like Salomon Rondon is one of those players whom you don't expect to score, but it's just one of those players which gives you those etchy clutch vibes that he's just gonna score because it's Manchester United, because it's Old Trafford.
Don't you dare!
You know what? This is going to be something probably for some of our older listeners, but he reminds me in some ways of like a Benny McCarthy or a Yakubu or somebody like that who just they don't score a lot of goals in the season.
But when
it
they
tends
do,
to be upper single digits. But when they do, you hate it.
It's against United, and it's the last minute winner, and it saves them from relegation.
Yeah, it's one of those players whom he may not be scoring for like 5 games in a row, but come United, come Old Trafford, bang, it just happened. Like
Hat trick.
Rocky Santa Cruz, another good example.
Victor Anichebe.
Victor Anichebe.
Oh my God.
I mean, Townsend as well. He seems to be in good touch. He scored his annual Worldie of the season, so you can't.
We're all good. That's fine.
He's done with that.
What happened to that? What was it? Middlesbrough Brazilian striker. Was it Alfonso Alves?
Alves, yeah.
He scored twice against it and then vanished.
Yeah, I mean,
for you guys.
He done well. I think Heerenveen in the Eredivisie came in, was absolutely crap except for against us.
It was nonsense. But yeah, I mean, Everton under Benitez, they're going to be a KG team. We've seen. I mean, they can play when they want to, but otherwise they're just going to sit behind.
Our midfield's really good.
In a sense, this game is going to really resemble the West Ham game because they're out. They're missing their striker. Their strength is their wide forwards. They're not really goal scorers, but they'll have to substitute because the striker is kind of a backup. And they'll sit deep. They're not really going to come forward too much. They'll be well drilled. I think it's going to be very reminiscent of the West Ham match that we won, thankfully.
Yeah. So the onus is going to be on us. We're going to have a lot of the ball, a lot of possession. The only thing where we need to improve in this case would be clinicality in the final third. And again, everyone complains about, what's our style of play? What are our patterns of play? The thing is, and this is, again, my personal opinion, is that we have a base approach, like we have a base setup, like we have a base formation, we have a base approach of playing and attacking on the ball. And then after that, we sort of give our attacking players the free role to be innovative and be creative on the ball, like in the moment, right? Which is why you see these moments of brilliance coming from our players in almost every now and then, right? And everyone complains about individual brilliance, but really the way I see it is we have a base sort of approach on how to attack when we're on the ball. And then after that is using the skills and using the sort of creativity of our attacking players to create something in the moment, to be a bit more innovative and imaginative. But the issue in that is you have to be clinical and you have to be precise. And that's something which we haven't been able to do in recent games. Like the Aston Villa game, the West Ham game. We had so many shots, but we didn't have much on target because, again, either our final pass, the pass on the final third wasn't accurate enough, or we were just like an inch or two just wide off. And so that needs to be accurate if you're being unpredictable going forward. I can understand the approach. It's a bit unconventional, but you need to be accurate. You need to be precise. And that's something we haven't been in the past 2-3 games. And we have to be that to break down this Everton defense.
I've just checked our fixtures. Our fixtures are minging until December. Like, that's 2 whole months.
November 30th, we play Arsenal. It's the last match of the difficult run. The next 2 months are brutal.
That's minging.
Yeah, as we were saying, that comes back to coaching as well, because have more sort of
or maybe it's intentional. Maybe it's intentional. Maybe Ollie wants us to be unpredictable going forward. But the only issue with that is you have to be accurate and you have to be precise with your passes and your plays and your one-touch link-ups and whatnot. That's something that you haven't been able to do.
There are different approaches to management. There's not necessarily a right or wrong way. I think the prominent example that comes to mind is if you look at Jose Mourinho's prominent teams from 2003, 4 up until about 2015, even his Chelsea sides, they're very well drilled defensively, and there's a lot of coaching structure there. But when it comes to the forwards, he didn't tell Diego Costa or Didier Drogba exactly what kind of run. Like, he's not setting up a Pep or a Louis van Gaal team where they're all doing these robotic actions over and over again. He had basically the back 5, 7, 8 were given a very tight structure, and the front four were told, okay, when you get the ball, go do what you want and go do what you can really well.
Yeah.
So I don't think that's necessarily wrong from the forwards. I do think that a defensive structure at the back is absolutely necessary.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
you happen, right? Yeah.
Exactly. Otherwise, you end up in a situation where I just did a thread on Roberto Martinez or like Eddie Howe, like these managers who play attractive football. Ollie plays attractive football, but they always concede a certain number of goals, which they probably shouldn't, because there's not really a defensive structure underpinning the team. So and I do think that we could benefit from this playing a little bit better at the back, maybe a little bit more coaching on that.
See, I think we've been unlucky with some of the goals we conceded. I thought the Southampton one was a foul on Bruno. It's a foul. You see them give it every other week. It's a joke. All right, that's a foul and a deflection. Deflection against Leeds was a screamer.
So here's the thing. People say Leeds was a screamer. I said it at the time as well. But when you look at the last 8 or 9 matches, however many we've played this season, there is a tendency of this United side to overly shift to one side, and then the midfield has vacated the area in front of the box, and it cues up a shot. There's a lot of space to shoot. So I think our tactics do play into people having more of those opportunities against us.
But then West Ham was a deflection, massive one off Varane.
West Ham was a massive. Yeah,
but they still deserved it.
It balanced out, though. They missed a penalty, which was a penalty. Although, admittedly, we should have had penalties as well that match.
Exactly.
Even the ref watch, is it on Sky Sports?
Yeah.
The Premier League admitted it. They told the referees in the meeting that Safal's one was a penalty.
It's not Safal's. They said Zuma's one.
Yeah, sorry, it might have been one or the other, but the point is they at least admitted at least one of them was a penalty.
Yeah. And I don't want to...
The Villa one... And then you had the Villa one, which was offside. But then again, that's no excuse for just leaving a marker, leaving just House.
Oh, yeah, I don't understand why they got Cavani to mark him. And then...
Yeah.
The thing is, if you look at it in 9 games that have been played this season, if you're conceding 1 set-piece goal, we play 60 games a season, or close to that. If you're conceding 5-6 goals off set pieces in the season, that's not bad.
Yeah.
Honestly, you can expect that. We conceded 1 in 9 games. That's what I'm saying. 1 in 9 is an acceptable ratio of goals to concede off set pieces.
So much better than last year.
Given that last season
United gave up 14 goals off set pieces in 38 matches. So we were giving up 1 just under every 3 games.
Yeah, that's really bad. Anyway, team lineup.
So Everton's going to be something similar, right? Because you have Townsend, the guy who's going to score screamers, who's going to try and attempt screamers from like 30, 35 yards.
We can't give him the space in front of the box that we did Leeds and Newcastle.
That's going to be Luke Ayling 2.0 right there. Believe me. Like, if he gets space, he's going to go for it, for sure.
And look, all of us support the manager, and no one here is Ollie out. But the fact that we're discussing this right now and know what Andros Townsend is going to do, if he gets the space and scores that goal on the weekend, then I think we do have to call the manager out on that. Because if we can see
and then you have
everyone knows me.
As well, right? You have inside pieces as well. You've got Alan, you've got Tracore, they're all tall heads, and they've also got Luca D.
Godfrey's really good in the air.
Yerry Mina as well. He's a threat.
Everybody knows me. Knows I'm like I support Ollie, for as long as I could. But Saturday was difficult.
Yeah,
it was the first time
nothing worked. Nothing worked. I mean,
it
just culminated. It just culminated with Bruno missing that penalty. Like that. That was just like the height of it. Like nothing worked on Saturday.
That was the first
like I said, we're slow starters, so hopefully it'll improve. We need to give the manager time. But when he makes wrong decisions, we should also call him out on them.
Yes.
We're supporters, not sycophants, right? We're not propaganda artists.
Exactly.
And the way that I look at it is, we back the manager. We say give him time. We say that he's done so many great things for the club in terms of the players he's brought in terms of the stability at the club. But also the fact that we're talking right now that United have this problem where we give up space in front of the box and Andros Townsend can exploit that. If Andros Townsend does exploit that, you have to ask questions of the manager of why a bunch of 20-something-year-olds on Twitter and on podcasts can figure it out, but why the podcast cannot.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. I mean...
Hold on, he's reached 20 yet. Or was he 19?
Next
you don't have to answer that question.
We don't
need Benjamin Mendy or Adam Johnson or Gylfi Sigurdsson showing up at your place. So
I'm over 18, so I don't think I'd be interested in me.
Oh yeah, Reece is a bit too old for both of them, so it's fine.
Yeah.
So in terms of lineups, Obviously, De Gea in goal. I don't think anyone can argue for Henderson now.
He's back.
No,
He's back to being his best, really. So.
Oh, absolutely, De Gea, 100%.
Yes. De
Yeah.
Gea.
The back four
Your
probably
boy's
picked
getting
this up as
dropped,
well.
kicked into oblivion. Wan-Bissaka right back.
Yeah, definitely. There's two players for this United squad, Dalot and Martial, who I just want to blast into the sun. I've had enough of them.
I kind of also want to fire Pogba into the sun as well, but
Nah.
It's more mixed with him. Like I'm not at that level with him.
It's not yet. It's getting there.
Anyways, Wan-Bissaka right back, and then Lindelof and Maguire. Sorry, Lindelof and Varane. I'm sure. Center back Maguire's out for a couple of weeks. The real question is at left back, do you take a fully fit Telles or a half-fit Shaw?
I think Shaw can.
Shaw is touch and go. He's in the England squad, I think.
I wouldn't risk it. I wouldn't risk it
either. I would go with Telles. He had a phenomenal performance against Villarreal. Goal aside, the goal line, the tackle that he had in the 80-something minute.
Oh,
the whole game he played really well, and I think Telles deserves a go.
Can I just say about Telles that he was, yes, in the first half he could have been better, but in the second half he was really good.
Even in the first half, he didn't make any prominent mistakes.
See, there were a couple of areas where he sort of just let go.
I still have doubts about him.
And that goal, by the way, everyone keeps
scored that for Porto a couple of times.
He scored that for Porto, but then that is something that's worked on the training ground. For sure. It's not something which is
individual brilliance.
Eric Ramsey set-piece coaching yet again shows how we were talking about earlier, bringing in a new coach could help. Look what's happened on our set pieces with just Eric Ramsey.
So anyway,
and I just feel that he deserves. Yeah, he deserves to have another shot. So I'll pick him at left back this one.
Okay, so everyone says Telles. So what about the midfield two? Because we know it's going to be a 4-2-3-1.
Midfield. Who do we go for?
Well, I'm going for Nemanja Matic and Donny van de Beek. That's my combination.
Really?
No, I'm not sure.
I thought they played well against West Ham. I think Van de Beek retains possession. I think that's been an issue for us this season so far. I think he played well with Matic next to him. And I think that's the two that I would go for. It's not even close for me. McTominay, Fred, Pogba are not in my thinking for the pivot. For me, those are the two clear ones you go for.
Okay. Given the fact that it is an afternoon kickoff, which means they've only had 2 days to recover.
I think it's Matic.
I'd play either Matic, Van de Beek, or Fred and Van de Beek.
That's Fred and Van de Beek concerns me.
They were all by the way, they were all right against. If you look at them against Young Boys, they weren't bad.
You're right about that. But the problem is Lindelof's not the best in the air. Fred's not the best in the air. Van de Beek's a little bit slight as well. So you end up with Maguire out of the side. I think you need one of the taller defensive midfielders in there. I say Matic, if not McTominay, has to be in there because of the height.
I'll go Matic. Van de Beek as well.
Yeah, same.
I think Matic and Pogba would be fine. I think
Pogba could do with a game off. Seriously.
I've actually thought about it. I am going to play Paul Pogba, but further forward. I'm going to play him on the left.
Oh, come on.
Wait. Hang on. So Greenwood, Sancho. Okay. Greenwood, Sancho played. Okay.
I'll go.
For me, I'm going to go Matic, Van de Beek, Bruno, obviously. And then the front three, I'm going to go with Pogba, Ronaldo, and Lingard. I think Lingard has done enough at this point. He's earned a start. He's also not played in midweek. I think Mason Greenwood is trying way too hard to score goals at the moment. Mm-hmm. So Greenwood, I think I want to drop. And Jadon Sancho has been mixed so far. I wasn't super happy with his performance in midweek. He was trying things, but it's not quite as where it needs to be. So I would go with Pogba and Lingard on either side of Ronaldo.
I would go Sancho, Bruno, Lingard, and Cavani up top, but I don't think you dropped.
I was about to ask.
There's no chance
regarding Cavani. I was about to ask.
All right. We'll go Ronaldo up top. But.
So you've dropped Pogba then for this match.
Yes.
You went with Lingard instead.
Yes.
Okay.
I think Sancho starts again because you can see his performances are getting there.
I can see the argument for that. I'm not against that. Pogba Sancho was the tough decision for me of who to start on the left. I think Lingard starting on the right though is clear as day for me.
Yeah. Okay, that's fine.
I play Matic and Pogba. Then Bruno, obviously at number 10, Lingard left wing, Greenwood right wing, Ronaldo striker.
I think there's a very good chance that Reese's lineup is the one that he's actually going to play. Yeah. Obviously, I like mine better.
But yes, for me, it's going to be Matic, Van de Beek midfield, Bruno as a number 10, Ronaldo up top, and on the wings, I'm going to go Sancho on the right, and I'm going to go either Jesse or Pogba on the left. Yeah. Mason sits out on this one.
The thing is, when you look at it, right?
I think he needs...
Greenwood's not in the England squad. I think there's a good chance he's going to end up playing because of that, because all he knows he's getting 2 weeks off after that. Yeah. Personally, I wouldn't do that, but I think there's a good chance we'll see it.
So I noticed a disparity, and it's obvious in the Prem that all the England players that played in the Euro final have started slow, really slow. Yeah. Not all of them. Harry Kane,
Maguire.
It's all
been a little better, I think, than the others. Like Kane and Maguire have really struggled.
They've been. Yeah.
I think Luke Shaw's been a little worse than he was before, but he's still been decent.
So anyway,
even if you look at not just United, look at other teams as well. Like Mount has struggled to sort of.
Sterling can't really get in the City team.
Sterling can't get in, and I'm like, what's that about over there? Foden.
Then Chilwell can't get in the team.
Yeah, I mean, Chilwell came on yesterday. Juventus scored 12 seconds later. So. Like that's absurd.
It's hard to blame him for that, though. That's his first appearance in forever, right?
So anyway, even Calvin Phillips has had a tough one. Rice has been like the most signed out.
Rice has been good. Declan Rice has been really good.
Rice has been signed out. Kyle Walker, you could argue, has been.
John Stones hasn't been in the team for Man City. Another one. Yeah, Kyle Walker's been okay.
Yeah, all England players. Even if you look at Italian players, Jorginho hasn't been at his best, really.
Locatelli hasn't been great.
Chiesa started well. He scored yesterday, right? So
so again, it's just the hangover of the final. It's going to take a bit of time for them to sort of come back, and that happens. Like even after the last World Cup, all the English players took a while. They had a slow start. Took a while for them to get going, really. So
I have a quote about Ollie. I want to say. So I heard it the other day, and I really liked it. People venerate what ends well, not what goes well. People don't care about the process. They care about the result. However, the discussion isn't about the end result. The discussion is about the process, which is the duopoly of football, because the result is what matters, but the process is how you get the result.
Wait, Ollie said that?
No, I read it the other day, and it's regarding Ollie and everything that goes on in football, right? It's true. People care about end result, not how you get there.
You have to remember, most of our fans, and I think Lauren Quigley, shout out to her, on Twitter tweeted this. If you look at it, most of the fans who tweet anti-Ollie vicious propaganda or slate him tend to be based in the United States, Africa, Asia, Middle East, outside of the UK, essentially. There is a fundamental problem with armchair fans who are horribly impatient, and if we lose 2 or 3 games. The problem is, right?
It's not even 2 games; it's 1.
The problem, Darth, is if there was if they said, okay, you know what, we don't believe in Ollie, you bring in Antonio Conte, we'll back him to the hill. Then I could kind of understand that. The problem with these people is no matter who you bring in, they'll back him for 5 games. The second it gets tough, they'll go, sack the manager again. And they just want to keep sacking the manager every 3 to 4 months. And it's just, that's not what Manchester United is. If you want that, go support Chelsea.
It's like, bring Conte in. What? So we can fucking burn it to the ground? You fucking tough.
The thing with modern fans swing opinions on a game-to-game basis rather than a season-to-season basis. And a part of it is down to FIFA and the fact that these fans, all they do is play. Most of these fans outside UK who don't get to go to Old Trafford, who don't get to be a part of games, they play FIFA, they play Football Manager, and they feel that the gameplay simulation is the equivalent to real life. So,
we need.
Anyways, moving on to predictions.
I'll go with 2-1. Yeah. What about you, Vin?
Yeah, I was just gonna say 2-1. It's gonna be a tight one, but yeah.
I am.
Pick something, Darth.
I know. I'm like a 1-1's in my head, but I'm like, we'll win 2-1.
Okay, I'm gonna go with 2-2 draw. with Andros Townsend scoring from outside the box, exactly as we just described. I think Ronaldo gets on the score sheet, and you know what? I'll say Jesse Lingard scores as well.
Is that gonna be another 90th minute equalizer?
Yes.
No, it'll be
Like last
2-1
time.
United.
Please not.
Yeah, I think they'll equalize against us, like 84th minute or something. Andros Townsend scores.
What do you mean?
We push on, we don't score.
It better not be through a set piece.
No, open play. Andros Townsend cuts in from the whatever wing he's on, takes a long shot from distance, and we're all of a sudden pissed off again.
What do you mean? It'll be the 98th minute when there were 3 minutes added on.
Anyways, we're a little bit out of time now, so
anyway,
So thanks everyone for watching. Like if you're on YouTube, follow elsewhere. Thank you very much.